Hubert Davis and the Tar Heels are loading up on shooting.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Wednesday, November 6th, 2024. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks so much for making this your first listen or watch. And I want to send a special shout out to the everydayers joining us, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Insider Program, and of course, our Locked On Tar Heels Discord family. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Coming up on the show today, Carolina lands their second commit in the class of 2025. We had election day yesterday in our country, so we're going to have a little fun with some Tar Heels voting today. And then I want to play a little game of real or fake coming out of Monday night's basketball game. Going to be a lot of fun. It's Wednesday, so usually Coach Pat Kilby would be with us. Last minute, he had to make a change in his schedule, so he's going to join me on Friday's show as we preview the Kansas game, and that's going to be a lot of fun, obviously. Let's dive right into this bad boy. Carolina on Saturday lands their second commit in the class of 2025. His name's Isaiah Denis, and he joins Derek Dixon as the class so far of 2025. I want to ask for your apologies in just now getting to Isaiah Denis. He committed on Saturday, like in the midst of Carolina's football game at FSU. And then we got to Sunday, and then we got to the basketball game on Monday and recapping it yesterday. And so I usually like to get to things like that much quicker. So thank you for your patience with me, but we're doing it now. So let's just start off with what this kind of means for Carolina, and then we'll talk about Isaiah Denis, because I think you want the takes first, right? There has been some consternation that I've heard over Carolina not yet landing a true point guard a la Elliot Cadeau in that vein in this class, while yet landing two guys that are more off the ball shooters at this point. They're both guys that are working on their ball handling and looking to grow into true combo guards. But so far, Carolina has landed what a lot of people have talked to me about as being two pretty similar players. They're differently sized and they approach it a little bit differently. But ultimately, right now, these guys are both shooting guards in Isaiah Denis and Derek Dixon. So I hear that consternation over look, we're not going to take many guys out of high school, so why get two similar guys? Well, first off, with the point guard side of things, yes, Carolina is going to need to address that, perhaps in the portal, if Elliot Cadeau leaves after this season, which he might not. It all depends on how things go and how he shoots up draft boards or doesn't. So we'll keep our eyes on that. But if I'm being honest, I think a lot of the consternation that people are feeling comes because of the 2022-23 season, where a year after the RJ Davis, Caleb Love backcourt had gone pretty well, with neither of them really being a true backcourt, that season did not go well. There were struggles and it just didn't come together in the same way that people hoped. And so I think we're feeling the repercussions of that, of people are like, that can't be our backcourt. Denis and Dixon can't be our backcourt. I hear that. And I agree. Carolina needs somebody that can be a true distributor with a bunch of dudes around him. But hear this side of it. To win in basketball, you know what you got to do? You got to put the little orange ball in the hoop more than your opponent, or at least more times when it counts for more points than your opponent. And that's what both of these guys can do. They can score the basketball. They are great shooters. That's what they're known for most specifically right now. And so in that regard, it's a great win for Carolina. Do you need to keep filling out the class? Sure. I expect the Tar Heels to really work to land one, maybe two more in this class, and that would be Caleb Wilson and or AJ Debance. It's like if AJ Debance is coming, you take him. But then beyond that, you fill out with hopefully retaining guys on the roster that still have eligibility, and then spot adding from the transfer portal. So that's what you would be looking for. Okay, let's talk now then about Isaiah Denis and his game. He chose between North Carolina, Ohio State, Wake Forest, Pittsburgh, Miami, and Tennessee. That was his final 6. I got to tell you, you might have seen this, maybe you didn't. Early when North Carolina offered him way back in the summer, I remember specifically because it was my dad's birthday, July 22nd. Carolina offered Isaiah Denis, and early there was a lot of movement for like, oh, he might commit, like, boom, immediately. He's a Tar Heel guy, lives like 2 hours west of Chapel Hill. Seems like a thing. He didn't do that immediately. And then in recent weeks, there's been noise that the recruitment is topsy-turvy. Maybe Wake Forest is sliding in and could be the front runner, things like that. Even as recent as this past weekend, right before he committed. But then Saturday morning kind of started getting more hints and indications that Carolina really was back in this thing and going to be the play. So Isaiah Denis is 6'5". He's got great height, 175. So he's great height, but slender, right? Shooting guard, as I've already said, he's a top 50 recruit at 247 Sports. He's number 47 right now. I said he's about 2 hours west of Carolina. He plays at Davidson Day School in Davidson, North Carolina. In AAU, he plays on the EYBL circuit. That's Nike circuit with Team CP3. This summer in EYBL stuff, averaged 14 points a game, 4 rebounds, and 2.4 assists. And look, let's be honest. Coach Davis wants 2 guards. He talks about that all the time. And so he's gone out and got them. Again, yes, neither of these guys is purely a playmaker. They're working on those skill sets. And so we recognize that. But Coach Davis does want 2 guards. And ultimately, already had Derek Dixon. And then it comes down to either Isaiah Denis or Braylon Mullins. As you probably are aware, Braylon Mullins opted not to stay home in Indiana like a lot of people thought he would, but didn't come to Carolina, went to the other of his 3 finalists, UConn. And so then Carolina is kind of in Isaiah Denis or bust mode, which means you got to put the full court press on. And they did, and they got him. Now, of course, somebody else could have popped up later in recruiting or in transfer portal, but now Carolina doesn't have to worry about that because they've got both of these guys. And so that's good. And keep in mind with this, Carolina projects to have quite a few backcourt minutes available next year. RJ Davis is necessarily gone out of eligibility. Ian Jackson, Drake Powell, both projected to be gone. We'll see what actually happens. Feels like Elliot Cadeau is a little bit of a toss-up right now. If he keeps doing what he has done in the preseason and did on Monday night against Elon, he might have a great shot to just go ahead and get out while he can. Seth Trimble might just mess around and get himself drafted if he keeps doing what he's been doing. So it's hard to project exactly who will be around next year, but right now it seems like there should be a lot of backcourt minutes available. Let's look at quickly some strengths that I see, some areas of growth I see, and then some TBD areas of his game. Strengths, he has plus athleticism, and you like that for a tall, lanky kid to not be like, you think about that and you think gangly, like the thing at the used car salesman lot, you know what I mean, that flaps in the wind. But not so with Denis. He is a plus athlete. He has, number 2, the ability to make these outside shots off the catch or the bounce. And you like that. You like his ability to do it set or to be on the move, whatever it needs, and to create it himself off the bounce. In EYBL this season, he shot 36% from deep and on high volume, just shy of like 6 attempts a game. And it's, as you watch his shot, go check out his highlights. It looks very repeatable to me what he does. And that's something we're always looking for. Third, with strengths, has the ability to finish above the rim. That plus athleticism and height is a great combination for that. And then also a strength of his just purely is the height positionally, right? Like I think back, man, I mean, has it been Kobe since Kobe White, since we've had like a legit 6'5" freshman come in the backcourt? You know, I mean, right now, these past 2 years, we've been living with a starting backcourt of Elliot and RJ, who are like 6'1" and 6'0". And so nice height. Areas of growth for Isaiah Denis. Need some meat on them bones, baby. You know, like I said, he's 6'5", yeah, but he's only 175 right now. And like, he's still got a year of high school left, right? So there's plenty of time to develop. Obviously, as most of these guys do when they get to Carolina, are going to thicken up under Jonas Saration's strength and conditioning program. But I'd like to see that so he can finish through contact more consistently at the level you'd want to see. Another area of growth is as he's working on his ball handling, his playmaking, is to see some growth in assist to turnover ratio. As I said, average like 2.4 assists in EYBL this summer, but just south of that in turnovers, like 2.3. And so that needs to grow if he wants to progress into being a true lead guard. And then the third area of growth I would say is that I feel like from some of the games I watched this summer back when Carolina offered him, there are times when he kind of settles for tough shots. I think as Isaiah's ball handling grows, I think the creativity is already there, and I think the shot making capability is there. But I don't want him to rely on that just because he can do it. It's like with that athleticism, get to where you need to go and finish. Make it easier on yourself. And then a couple of TBDs for me are like I want to continue to watch to see just how well he can grow in creating off the dribble and in playmaking. That seems to be on the rise for him. But like right now, I would characterize his game as best utilized off the ball, not on the ball. And that even just me feeling that way is enough to tell me right now that I don't see him yet as a lead guard. Now, right now, as I said, I would designate him, same as Derek Dixon, as a shooting guard. But as these ball handling skill sets continue to develop for him, yeah, I'd be more than happy to give Isaiah Denis my stamp of approval as a combo guard designation. But right now, not quite there yet. And I like, I heard Inside Carolina's Sherelle McMillan talking about it. And like I don't know Sherelle personally, we've never talked, but man, I trust his recruiting stuff and his insight. And one of the things he said, I heard him say, that he's heard multiple people talk about with Isaiah Denis is that, quote, his best basketball is ahead of him. And that's encouraging, but it also means he's still working, right? And so think about what that could mean in terms of readiness when he gets to campus next year. We'll keep our eyes out on that. So great news. All in all, Carolina now has 2 commits in the class of 2025, both around the 50s in terms of recruiting rankings. And so now we turn our eyes back again, as I said, to the front court. It's now time to start thinking or continue thinking about Caleb Wilson and AJ DeBansa and having backup plans in case you don't land one or both of those young men. Well, as I said, here's where I want to go next. Tuesday was election day in our great country, and I thought it would be a little fun to play a voting game here on Locked On Tar Heels. Come on, join me. Let's cast some votes. We'll do that in just a second. Right after I tell you about hymns. Well, fellas, sometimes these intimate moments happen spontaneously, and you want to be ready, right? Hymns provide access for you to treatments that can help give you that boost of confidence, so you're going to be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hymns is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your own couch. The process, it's like 100% online, so there's no need for like awkward doctor's visits or anything like that, because if prescribed, the medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging, I might add, for free. You just got to answer a series of questions on their site. The medical provider will determine the right treatment option for you. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/locked on. That's HIMS.com/locked on for your personalized ED treatment options. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products, which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Prices vary based on product and subscription plan. It's Wednesday, the day after Election Day, and you thought you were all done with all the crazy election ads and everything, but oh no, I'm making us vote one more time here on Locked On Tar Heels, but don't worry, it has literally nothing to do with politics. It's all about the Tar Heels just leaning into the game of it. So I've got 3 different things that I'm going to vote for, and I would love to hear your vote as well. Number 1 on our ballot, starting power forward. It seems like Elliot Cadeau, RJ Davis, now Seth Trimble, and then Jalen Washington at the 5 feels like those 4 spots are pretty locked in. What feels like it might still be in question, still being evaluated by the coaching staff, is the 4 spot, the power forward. So I have 4 candidates for us to consider on our ballot. Number 1, Jalen Withers, who started the first game. Number 2, Cade Tyson. Number 3, Drake Powell. Or number 4, Ven Allen Lubin. Which candidate are you voting for and why? I did not think I would ever hear these words come out of my mouth. But for right now, I think Jalen Withers really is the pick. And again, I can't believe I'm saying that. I'm glad I'm saying it because it means I was wrong on Jalen Withers, or at least what the coaching staff thought about him. I still think that Cade Tyson long-term is a better option, or maybe Drake Powell, depending on opponent and what's going on. I think definitely in the course of a game, yes, maybe not starting things. But for right now, until Cade Tyson, excuse me, really gets settled in and figures out his role and is comfortable with that, which is funny as we're talking about comparing him with Jalen Withers, who went through all that last year. I believe that Withers is the best option for that. I think right now he adds a little more to things because that's not really Cade Tyson's game or Jalen Washington's game. And so you need that from somebody. And I know that the 3 guards are gritty, and we've seen them get into it a little more. All right, like I thought their defense was better in game 1. But I think that right now, Jalen Withers and Ven Allen Lubin and Ty Claude, once he gets worked into the mix, are probably your best muscle guys that can really mix it up in the front court. And so I think for now, Jalen Withers has to be the answer. Item number 2 on our ballot to vote for, Elliot Cadeau's shooting. On Monday night, Elliot Cadeau took 4 threes and he made 3 of them. Here are the candidates for Elliot Cadeau's 3-point attempts. Would you like to vote for more 3s attempts from Elliot? Fewer 3-point attempts. 4 is just the right amount in a Goldilocks and the 3 Bears sort of way. Or 4. I don't care how many 3s Elliot Cadeau's taking. I just want him to let it fly when he's open. No hesitation. Trust the process over the result. And I'm voting for that last option. I don't want to actually dictate how many 3s specifically Elliot Cadeau takes. I want the game flow to dictate this. Mark Campbell was talking about this in our post game the other night, that more so than like a quota, it's important to just let it fly as the defense dictates. If they're going under screens, boom, let it rip. If you find yourself open, boom, let it rip. If they come flying out at you, great. Read that, drive to the rim, and kick or finish, whatever it is. So ultimately, when I'm voting for how many 3-point attempts do I want from Elliot Cadeau, it's less about a specific number. And I think I've changed on that. I think, maybe in the offseason, I would say, yeah, I'd like to see 3 3-point attempts a game just to keep things honest. But seeing the confidence with which Elliot was shooting on Monday night, the lack of hesitation. Now for me, it's about, I'm going to be upset if you're not taking those 3s, because it both keeps the defense honest, which is going to make your drives and passes even more effective. But also, you're making them at a high rate, at least on Monday and throughout the preseason. So keep doing it. And finally, voting item number 3 on our Locked On Tar Heels election ballot, front court production. On Monday, the combination of Jalen Washington, Jalen Withers, and Ven Allen Lubin had 22 points on 10 of 21 shooting from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 0 of 0 from the free throw line, 21 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turns, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. So, does Carolina need, from that 3-man combination or rotation right now, does it need more production from the 3 of them, less production, or just about that same amount because the backcourt's going to be so lethal that the front court really just needs to kind of do what they did? I'm voting for that. Sure, I'm always going to take more production. Absolutely. I'm not going to spit in the face of that. But game in, game out on that basis, if this trio and eventually some Ty Cloud mixed in can provide about 20 and 20, 20 points, 20 rebounds, can maybe hit a couple threes, get some blocks, get some steals. I'd like to get that assist to turnover ratio better than 1-to-1. And outside of that, I love the production with one caveat: 0 free throw attempts. And I know based on playing style for this team this year, there just simply isn't going to be as many free throw attempts for the front court. And part of that's okay because I want RJ Davis to be the one to take the majority of them because he's insane at the free throw line. And I know that Elliot Cadeau and Seth Trimble aren't historically great free throw shooters, but I expect better of them this year. That said, the front court can't walk out of a game with 0 free throw attempts. That has to grow. And I expect it to. They're going to look at that and say, hey, you see those zeros? That ain't going to cut it. So I need to see that grow. Outside of that, I think the production we got out of the front court on Monday night is just about in the sweet spot for where it needs to be. And again, that could rise and fall game to game. But if that trio can average 20 and 20 with some other stat stuffing mixed in, then I'm going to feel good about where Carolina's at. So that's our election. That's our voting for Locked On Tar Heels. Fun little exercise. I got one more game I want to play today. Real or fake? What do we take away from Monday night? That's just like, that's just game one. And what is like, woo, that's it. We'll play that game right after I tell you about ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink, which is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It's invented by these like PhD scientists to help tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works, right? When you drink, what happens in your body is the alcohol gets turned into a toxic byproduct in your gut. It's that, not dehydration, that leaves you feeling rough the next day. Well, what this pre-alcohol does is produces an enzyme within you that breaks down that byproduct. Just remember, make ZBiotic your first drink of the night, do it responsibly, and you're going to feel so much better when you wake up the next day. So if you want to go check that out and make sure that you're feeling good and in good shape, man, go look at it at zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege, where you can learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Locked On College at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head on over to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege and use code lockedoncollege at checkout for 15% off. This episode is also brought to you by our good friends at Game Time. Look, man, college basketball is here, and there is nothing better than the atmosphere of a college basketball game, man. I'm thinking ahead to 2 days from now when Carolina's at Fog Allen Fieldhouse. You know that place is going to be bumping, and you're going to want to be there, even if it means driving from Chapel Hill. In fact, I heard from a couple Locked On Tar Heels Discord friends on Tuesday. We were talking, and they're like, yeah, man, I'm getting packed up to head to Lawrence, Kansas right now. That's awesome. And maybe that's you. You want to go, but you don't have tickets yet. Game Time is the place to do it that can help you get great tickets at a great price. Great news. When you're looking for those tickets right now, they got a new feature called Game Time Picks with curation that makes it easier to find better seats and to be able to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. So whether it's their ticket coverage, lowest price guarantee, or panoramic views from your seat in the app, Game Time has got you covered. Look, the tickets are a little bit more expensive at Allen Fieldhouse. The cheapest I could find is $225. But man, you could say that you were there for this historic game between the Tar Heels and Jayhawks. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download their app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time. Okay, I want to take a look back at Monday night and 5 things that happened in the game and try to answer real or fake. And by that, I mean, is this something that happened on Monday night that I think is going to be a trend season long? Or is it something that's like, nah, that just happened in game one, and, and it's not going to happen again, right? Like, think about, like, I play fantasy football, and in week one, there's always weird, wacky, wild stuff that happens. And it's like, oh, should I pick that guy up off the waiver wire? Or was that just like, just week one, it's never going to happen again, right? And you try to answer those. Sometimes you get it right. Sometimes you get it horribly wrong. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. I'm going to give you these answers and guaranteed to be wrong, but we're going to give it our best bet. Let's start with Ian Jackson and his 11 minutes. Is that real? Is that what we're going to see from him? Or is that fake? And we're actually going to see more something toward 15. My answer, fake. I think the 11 minutes is just an outlier of game one and getting going. Ian also, it wasn't just the minutes, it was his production. 2 of 7 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, just 5 points, didn't get to the free throw line. Minus 14 and plus minus, the only Tar Heel that didn't have a plus that played. Just 1 rebound and then no other stats from Ian Jackson. It felt to me like he wasn't settled in. It felt more like his performance at Memphis than his one against Johnson C. Smith. Those were 2 different versions of Ian Jackson, and I thought we had the Memphis version of him on Monday night. Will we get the Johnson C. Smith version Friday at Kansas, or is that going to have to wait till another game back in the Smith Center? I don't know, but I think, I think the weird, just Elon playing so much zone, I think that factored into it, and other things. All that to say, 11 minutes for Ian Jackson, fake news. All right, number 2, same number, 11, but steals. This is not a calling card of North Carolina basketball, at least in the Hubert Davis era. I can't exactly remember under Roy Williams. I could go back and look at all my numbers and all my stats and charts and stuff, which is a great moment to plug our Locked On Tar Heels Insiders program, where you can get into our Google Drive that I keep, where I've got all sorts of stats and charts and data. It's a free thing for you when you join the Locked On Tar Heels Insiders. Link is in the show notes. Go check it out. Carolina in this game had 11 steals. That's just kind of crazy for North Carolina. And it came from a multitude of players. Of the 9 Tar Heels that played, 7 of them had a steal, including Elliot Cadeau, who had 3 to lead the way, but also 2 each for RJ Davis and Seth Trimble. So that starting backcourt, that threesome, had 7 of these 11 steals by themselves. And so that's a really encouraging thing. And I mentioned that's not really been a calling card of the Hubert Davis era. This is year 4 of the Hubert Davis era. Last year, the only time they beat this 11 was they had 13 once. 22-23 season, they had 11 once, which tied what they did Monday, and 12 once. That's the only times that either matched or beat. Same thing in 21-22. They hit 11 steals one time and had 12 another. So only 3 times in the Hubert Davis era have the Tar Heels had more than Monday night's 11 steals. So is that an outlier, or is it something we can expect season long? I'm going to say that this is real. By nature of how Carolina is going to have to play this year, their defensive style is going to necessarily be more disruptive. They're not going to just be able to sit idly by and see what they can make happen. And so I think that we are going to continue to see more double-digit steal games. We might even get a new Hubert Davis era high, which is just 3 more steals than they had on Monday night. So be on the lookout for that. But I think the 11 steals is real and not just an outlier. Number 3, real or fake. Carolina's 3-point shooting. 2 things with this. Number 1, Carolina hit 40.6% of their threes, and 6 different Tar Heels made at least 1. And what's interesting is none of those 6 were named Cade Tyson or Jalen Washington, both of whom are guys you expect to hit from the outside. Is this real or fake? I mean, I'm not saying Carolina is going to make 40% of their threes game in and game out. But what I do think is real, and why I'm going to categorize it as real, is because I do think that more so than ever, Carolina has a multitude of players who are capable of and will make 3-pointers on a regular basis. Moreover, the coaching staff is going to encourage it. And so I think we're going to see that. Again, I don't think 40% is going to be the regular, but I think Carolina could be a team that shoots 35, 36% from three. And quite frankly, they're going to need to be able to be as competitive as they want. So I say that this diversity of players making threes is a real thing season long. Number 4, turnovers. Carolina had just 6 turnovers on Monday. That was 8% of their possessions. The last 2 seasons, they've had 2 seasons ago, they were 15% turnover rate, and last year, 14% turnover rate, both of which are the lowest turnover rates for Carolina in the Ken Pom era. Are they going to hang out at 8% all season long? No, I don't believe so. But I do think that them being very low in this metric again and just having 6 is a real thing. Here's why. RJ Davis has a crazy low turnover percentage individually. You lose a couple players that were pretty good in turnover percentage in Cormac Ryan, in Harrison Ingram, but both Ben Allen Lubin and Cade Tyson have low career turnover percentages. I expect Elliot's to come way down this year. Seth Trimble's is low. Jalen Withers needs to come down on his, but I do think that it is a real thing what we saw from the Tar Heels, and I expect them to be able to have another great season in not being a turnover-prone team. As I've said a couple times, because the tempo is going to be higher, you might see the total number of turnovers go up some, but the percentage, which is a tempo-free stat, will stay lower. And then 5th and finally, real or fake, Cade Tyson's early season struggles. This wasn't just in the opening game. We saw, in the blue-white scrimmage at Memphis and then against Johnson C. Smith, not really feeling like Cade is entirely comfortable yet. And the thing is, though, I don't think it is a lack of capability to do what needs to be done at this level. Like I've heard a couple people since Monday say things like, this is just another Paxson Wojcik. That's a wasted scholarship. You are more than entitled to your opinion, but I wholeheartedly disagree with that sentiment. I do not think that. And no, I apologize to Paxson Wojcik for that. But Cade Tyson, to me, is a better basketball player. And he's been able to find some other ways to contribute. For example, at Memphis, he led Carolina with 9 rebounds. And he did look better in the Johnson C. Smith game, hitting a 3 in that one and doing some other things. So for me, real or fake on Cade Tyson's struggles, jury's still out on this one. This is the one that I'm not going to answer yet. If you force me to answer, I would say Cade's struggles fake. I would say he's going to eventually settle in, and I legitimately feel that he will. But I think similar to Jalen Withers last year, I think it's going to take some time for him to trust it. I think it's going to take some time for him to continue to learn how to operate when he's not the main focal point of the offense. I'm glad he's here. I'm glad he's a Tar Heel, and I think he's going to get settled in. But right now, that's the one that the jury's still out on. I'd love to hear your answers to these, real or fake, on all 5 of those. All right, guys, great show today. Great to be able to be together talking Isaiah Denis, doing some voting and playing real or fake. I love it when we play games. I should come up with more of those, huh? That'd be a lot of fun. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed to our show, please make sure you do so on video and audio so you don't miss a second of Locked On Tar Heels. If you haven't subscribed to our Locked On Tar Heels Discord, love to have you in there. It's absolutely free to join, and the link is in the show notes. And if you want to go even deeper, come join us, as I invited you earlier, to the Locked On Tar Heels Insider Program, where not only do you get all those stats, but you get to chat with me directly one-on-one. It's a great opportunity, and I'd love to have you. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. Be right back with you tomorrow with myself and Coach Rob coming together. But until then, peace.